Stevie, what's up, buddy?
How's it going?
It's going good. How are you? Everything okay?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
I'm just reading I'm covering the article here about Zero Hedge article that was put up today about Ozark. These guys here, Ozarks, the guys that lent money to anyone and anybody. Their stocks plummeting here.
Yeah, I heard something like that today. I didn't follow up on it, but I'll definitely have to read that Zero Hedge article.
Yeah, it's really powerful. It's strong. It gets to the point real quick in a heartbeat. You know how Zero Hedge is. They just tell you straight up.
Yeah, I quite like it. That's for sure.
Yeah. So okay, tell me what's going on. What do you got to tell us? Is there anything on the down low you could tell us?
Well, according to Kevin Thompson, I have no clue. I say the same things week after week, month after month, whatever he had said. But, I mean, hey, he's entitled to his opinion. But Gordon Smith seems to say that he's irrelevant and a lost cause, and I'm starting to follow suit with that statement.
Okay, so what's going on now that you've brushed off your some negative feelings that you have? Now tell us what's going on. Give us some something to chew on.
Well, okay, interest rates went up today.
Right.
As we all know, the Bank of Canada raised 25 basis points, and we're very direct and transparent and forthcoming to the effect that the Financial Post basically put out an article about 2 hours after the broadcast was done at their meeting, saying that they had raised rates 25 basis points and more rates to come. That just basically solidifies everything we've been talking about for quite some time. Affordability is going to continue to erode. The ability to qualify for a mortgage and other loans as well are going to come to a screeching halt shortly for many people. It's close to, I think it's 30% or 1/3 of all Canadians really are fearing bankruptcy due to the interest rate hikes.
Yeah, I read that article at the beginning of the show when I kicked off. We covered Canada, and that's like 1 in 3 people are pretty much on the chopping block for this. And what do you think? I mean, what do you think? I mean, the banks are turning away potential deals because they're afraid to reinvest in some of these refinances. Where do people go when they can't refinance?
Well, they're going into a very, very gray market, and they're going to the underground levels of lending. They're bypassing the B lenders, going straight to the C lenders and the sharks, which is not a good thing whatsoever. They're better off actually renting when you factor in the amount of money that they're spending on interest every year. It just doesn't make any sense. When you're paying 8 to 12% for a mortgage, those numbers are there, and those percentages are there for the purposes of construction loans, not first charge mortgages. That's what kills me, and people are still doing it. And there's a number of situations where it's now a trend where you have people over the age of 50, 55, 60 years old. They've bought their house, for anywhere between, call it 10, 15 cents on the dollar, upwards of 35 cents on the dollar. And they're selling them for upwards of $1 million, $1.3 million. And then they're going ahead and offering, okay, Mr. Smith, you can't afford to qualify for the mortgage. I'm going to give you a vendor take-back mortgage, and I'm going to increase the cost of the property underneath the agreement of purchase and sale. So subsequently, the interest is, I already have my interest money. And I'm going to do it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be. And as long as the seller is selling his principal residence, he can use that additional $150K, $200K added to the purchase price, and it's basically tax-free because he's getting away with it underneath his personal residency exemption.
Right. So
this is happening right, left, and center, and this has actually been confirmed by one or more people that I know within the financial sector.
So, what are you predicting for Q1 of 2019? We've already cleared the great Canadian and the great Australian and the great New Zealand blame game. That was I called that for this summer, and that's been the whole media has been pointing the finger at who to blame. Now, what are we gonna call the Great Winter? The Great Canadian Winter of what?
I think if it's winter, I think it's going to be we're going to call it the Great White Recession.
That's a good one. But it may not be politically correct on some channels, but it's fine on the Mike Martin's channel. Continue.
No, in terms of white meaning snow, not
I understand,
not color
Steven.
of one's skin.
I understand that, Steve. But there's a lot of people out there that might misinterpret that and want to shut down the channel.
Yeah, but Mike, we're right wing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's one of those. We're labeled as racist. We don't even have to say anything.
Yes, Steve's on the money with everything. So now, the Great White Christmas, the Great White Defaults. We'll call it the Great Winter Default.
Sure.
The Great Winter Default.
I think by the end of Q1, we will have seen not another interest rate hike, but 2 rate interest hikes, 25 basis points at a time, for a total of 50 basis points by the end of Q1.
You see how after we raised interest rates, our loonie went up just slightly because of that? If we don't raise rates, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really, really, really tough to keep up with the Americans. Australia is never going to raise rates, and neither is New Zealand. So they're going to be I would like to. Well, Australia's falling like a falling knife. So Australia's falling like Niagara Falls. I'm talking about people can't secure the financing anymore. So they can't get the money to buy, and if you can't buy, it sits on the market. But I see Australia falling apart with the second or third article I read about Australia. They're falling apart, Steve, without even raising interest rates. They're falling apart. Why? Because there's just no liquidity, and banks are not lending anymore, and that's closing the deal for Australia. So even if Australia raises rates, yeah, there's going to be a lot of heartaches, but people jumping from interest only back to paying down the damn thing, it's a heartache for a lot of people living down under. I really feel for them because a lot of them bought into this Ponzi scheme. So Steve, I need to ask you, where are these people that told you that they've been preaching to us for the last 5 years that we're completely bought out of the market for the rest of our lives, and if you don't buy now, you could be completely bought out for the rest of your life? Where are these people?
They all live in Kevin Thompson's condo building.
I heard a lot of real estate channels are starting to change their tune a bit to, now is a good time to buy type of thing, instead of saying if you don't buy now, you'll never own. So there's a lot of changes. You know what I mean, Steve, right? So...
Yeah, I think what's really going to do a lot of people in, and that Better Dwelling article that I believe you covered at the top of the show, at the beginning of the show, really truly sums up what people are doing. And people are bleeding, and they don't even realize it. It's become a fact of life, or a way of life, to take the equity out of their house and virtually go and spend. And God forbid if they're doing that just to survive. Sooner or later, they're going to have to pay the piper. And the days of selling your house and then paying off your home equity line of credit, those days are gone. Mm-hmm. And they'll continue to be gone because house prices. I don't care what anybody says. You look at the numbers. You look at historic numbers. You look at facts on findings. As interest rates rise, house prices have to come down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's no way about it. We did this countless times on my channel, where we took a house that was on MLS, a $700,000 townhome, and we took the townhome, we put it into a calculator with I think it was a CIBC or RBC, I can't remember which one, and we used the existing interest rate that they had available and the tools that they had available on the website, and we try fitting it in. The average person needs to make $185,000 a year to buy a $700,000 townhome.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. And it's funny, Kevin Thompson in the comment section just says, equity is your money. Well, equity is your money to a certain degree, but your house is only worth what it's worth when you go to sell it. So if your house went up 35% in 1 to 2 years, and it was based on, ethereal gains and irrational exuberance, what is your house really going to be worth, by the time you get a chance to pay back that heat lock or pay down that heat lock? You really have to ask yourself where house prices are going in the next, 1 to 5 years, 1 to 2 years.
But Steve, he's acting like you're not even paying any juice or any vig on the HELOC. You're paying so much juice on that HELOC.
You absolutely are. And you know what? And it just went up. And it's going to continue to go up every time that interest rates go up. It's an open loan. It's not fixed. There's no fixed rate on heat locks or lines of credit.
Yeah, because a lot of those HELOCs are prime plus 2.
Well, yeah. I mean, whatever the rate is, the rate is.
Mm-hmm.
And, can you believe some people in the past 1 to 2 years were leveraging their house by way of home equity line of credit and lending it out to people for a second mortgage on properties?
Oh, that's got to be an absolute nightmare to collect. Oh,
Mike, their position is number 2.
Yeah. Unless you got someone like Rocky Balboa that could go collect for you or something. I don't know how you could get that to work. Because how you start collecting from these loans, these private loans that people are lending out when people default?
Well, that's it. And the default ratio, I'm searching everywhere for it. And the banks, they have an estimated default ratio by the end of the year, and then they've broken it up into quarterly. And I'm waiting till tomorrow night when I meet up with these guys, and they will have that ratio in terms of their book of business based on mortgages and heat locks and whatnot. And I know for a fact it's not going to be very good. That number is available, and large banks, at least in Canada, that is, the 5 big banks are really working to figure out what their exposure is.
Oh, well, no. Well, you get a really good auditor in there to look at the books. He'll start finding everything wrong with every deal that's on those books. They'll find a lot of stuff. Why this pay stub doesn't match his job on file? Why is his phone number out of service? What's going on? Why is this not a government issue ID on this file? Why is this TDS out of whack? Who approved this? Why did this get approved? Man, they're gonna find stuff left, right, and center, up and down, and left and right, underground, all around, up in the sky. That's wrong with a lot of these deals. Once they get auditors in to look at some of these books, once they get financial examiners in to look at what went wrong, and it's all common sense, and it all breaks down to common sense and poor lending practices, and that's it. And people making commissions, and that's what people were writing off their commissions.
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from there, and I think I don't even know that they have to go as far as auditing the book. They can just look at it as strategized sampling. I won't get into what strategized sampling is, but let's just say strategized sampling is not necessarily at a glance or 20,000 feet. It's more in depth, but they're not going through it with a fine-tooth comb. They can figure out how many loans they're anticipating that will default. And every time an interest rate hike goes up, they have to do this. They have to do this because of their bank stock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about, yeah, I know what you're saying. You're talking about the big picture. I'm talking about if I walked into one of the offices and I started going through the files, the mortgage files, and I would see so much discrepancies in every file. It'd be like scratching my head, like, why is this credit bureau 2 years old? Why is this? Where is that? You know, I'll find all kinds of stuff wrong with those files, and you start seeing them, and you start seeing these people default left, right, and center.
Right, and I think we have to look at the overall picture when. And those, for people that don't know what OSFI is, it's our financial watchdog in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And they told us something in not so many words the other day, where what they're trying to do is they're trying to remove the ability for lenders just to say, okay, Mike Martins, you know what, you got 50-60% down, 50-60% skin in the game. We don't really need to phone your employer. We see your deposits. We see this. Yeah, we'll pull your credit and, do this and do that. But, you got enough equity in your house. House prices aren't going to come down 50-60% from where they are today. And, you're not going to walk away from that. Now, that's basically what's going to happen is that's all going to change. Every single loan is going to be looked at as if you had 20% down.
Okay. Let me open.
Now, Mike, have you been on to Rate Hub as of lately?
The Rate Hub?
Yeah, Rate Hub. RateHub.ca.
I'm going on it right now. Going to it right now. Search smarter, save money. So, okay, so it's going to my location at Merritt, BC. There's the best 5-year fix, 3.33%. Scotiabank, 3.79%, 3.69%. It's going over all the different rates right now. Go to, people, if you want to check it out yourselves, go to ratehub.ca to see what exactly is going on when it comes to shopping for a better mortgage or a better interest rate,
Okay, so Mike, I want you to look on there, and I want you to look at for insured mortgages.
Okay.
There is, I was on there the other day, and I'm hoping to God you can see it. I should have taken a screenshot of it, but I'm sure it's on there. If you have an insured mortgage, the bank is, in other words, if you default, the bank's going to get paid out as the first lender. There more than one bank is actually offering better rates than as if you had a conventional mortgage with 20% down or more.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck does that tell us?
It means they're only lending to people that have more than what the average person has saved.
Okay, I never looked at it that way. Basically, what that tells me is they're going to give you a better rate on your mortgage, okay, because you only have 15% down or less than 20% down, and you have insurance in the event that you poop the bed and you walk. In other words, their loan is secured and will get paid out.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I missed the question that you asked. I understand what you're asking me now. Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, of course, yeah, because it's like what you're telling me is like you are a sports bookie, and when you win, you go collect your debts, and when you lose, you tell the people to F off. So you win-win. So it's a win-win situation for the bank.
Right, and I guess using your metaphor, if you will, the guy that's, the bookie that has to go and collect from, the people that lost and they don't have any money. In that situation, Cousin Vinny now becomes, is the collector. In this situation, CMHC or Genworth is now Cousin Vinny.
Right. I see what you're saying. All right, let's get a calculator here. Oh Christ! They're trying to solicit me for a credit card, Steve. $300 a year. $300 a year, and you get more flying points. But then, if you do the math in 5 years, that's enough to buy 3 tickets to go around the world.
That's very true.
Yeah. So let's see what's happening here. So Steve, people need to understand a lot. Steve, what's going to happen with the renewals? A lot of renewals coming up now. A lot of
renewals are coming up now.
You know, Q1, Q2, and Q3, you're going to see huge renewals coming up because the term is coming up, and then, you know, they're on a 30-year or a 40-year amortization, or whatever they're on a 3-4 year term. What is going to happen when people can't renew? Or they don't qualify?
Well, that's a very interesting situation. A lot of people are going to have to sell their house because they're effectively going to be told they're living well beyond their means and their financial capacity, and the bank will go ahead and they may give them a renewal, definitely not at a decent rate that they once were getting, but they're probably only going to do a 6-month term to allow them to sell the property.
So, Peter's saying, this is still cheap. My variable rate is 4.22%. Yeah, but Peter, you're not borrowing $1.2 million, dude.
Well, exactly. Peter, what's your combined household income, and what's the average price for a detached house?
Mm-hmm. Because if we know that, right, then, like, is he free and clear? What's his disposable income? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That all adds up, right?
No. Hang on a second. Your variable rate is 4.2. That's fine. But has anybody checked what the 5-year fixed posted rate is?
Yeah, I just saw it. It was high. It was like 3.6 or 5%, depending on which.
Yeah, it was. It's 5.34.
Yeah. Okay. So the bank's lending at 5.34, but that's provided you have spot on credit, a big down payment, and you fit in the what do you call it? The stress test, and everything falls into place. All the stars align. Now, if the stars don't align, you could be paying 6-7 points on your mortgage.
Well, I mean, that's when you're getting into B lenders. But yeah, they'll go ahead and they'll qualify you at in terms of the stress testing. They're going to qualify you at the posted rate. So that posted rate is 5.34, and I believe it's probably going to go up shortly.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically take it there. It's basically the posted rate or 2% higher than what you're being offered.
Mm-hmm. So the benchmark.
Whichever.
I'm just putting in the benchmark median price in Vancouver. Let's say $1.1 million. And then let's say we do a fixed rate. Okay, they're still offering. Closed. We'll do a 5-year closed at 5.59, and an amortization of 25. Let's put 30 years to keep the payments low. Monthly frequency. Yes. No. Yes. Calculate my payments. So with the average benchmark price home in Vancouver at $1.12 million. Your monthly payment at 5.59% is $6,656 per month net.
Sorry, say that number again, Mike. You cut out.
Okay, the benchmark price right now in Vancouver is $1.12 million for the average detached in Vancouver. On a 5-year closed at 5.59% on a 30-year amortization with a monthly frequency, you're paying $6,656 per month.
And the total mortgage the total amount of mortgage is 1.2 million?
1.12.
1.12?
That's the benchmark price across the board.
Okay. So that's that. So yeah, does it give you any room for a down payment?
I'm just putting down it's not giving me the average. So let's say the person put down 200 large, and let's say we're going to borrow $1 million, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to borrow $1 million. Okay, so that puts you down to $5,973.21 per month. And you're still going to have $924,000 owing after your 5-year term.
Sorry, how much owing?
$924,000.
$924,000.
So you pay down $79,000 after 5 years of payments.
5 years of payment. Okay.
That's very bad.
That's disgusting.
That's horribly bad.
And what are you paying? What's the total interest cost for the term?
$266,000.
$266,000. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You're better off going to rent a $1 million house. Okay. And, like, what the heck? That's ridiculous. That's insane. That's absolutely incredible.
So I'm looking at a condo with my wife in Fort Lauderdale, where the area I used to live in, and they're asking $76,000 for it. And interest rate with Bank of America is about I would say it's about 3.94. Let's say around 4%, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so to borrow it's $386 a month. And this is for a 3-bedroom condo, and in a gated community. And interest.
Keep in mind, Mike. You need 50% down, eh?
Oh, I'm just saying roughly what it's going to cost is $76,000.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, I just want to see what $76,000 would cost to borrow, right? 30 years monthly, total payments, interest paid. So you're still owing $70,000 after 5 years with borrowing the $76,000, but your payment's only $386 a month. So you're renting the money. But
right.
I'm looking at a 10-year term, okay? And now it makes more sense. You are paying $793 a month, and you're left with $49,000 to pay after the 4 years. On a 10-year term, yeah. So if I do 10 years, and let's say I put down $30,000, and I mortgage, let's say $36,000. Okay, my payments are $375 a month for 10 years, and I could have it paid off in 10 years at $375 a month. But that's the problem. People are not buying properties for $76,000. They're buying properties. What's the benchmark for a 1-bedroom right now in Toronto? Is it still $680?
No, I think it's come down a little bit.
$645?
No, it's 5 something.
Okay, so let's say $550.
Yeah, I think it's 580 or something like that. I could be wrong. I don't really follow the condo market as well as I should.
Okay,
they're way overpriced. Value isn't there.
Let's just say you want to pay it off in 10 years. You got to pay $6,149 a month for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, for 10 years. And
Mike, the writing is on the wall, my friend.
So 30 years, you're paying $3,305 a month right now with the new rates for a 1-bedroom.
That's crazy. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah. So
people are willing to do it, but make no mistake, there's a lot of millennials leaving the city of Toronto.
Oh, big time! There's a huge mass exodus. I don't know. Even after Faith Goldie lost the election, a lot of people now are packing up and leaving Toronto in droves now. I've been talking to people saying, "Oh, I'm leaving Toronto now. I gave up." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a lot of people giving up on Toronto. You know.
Well, they have to. They have no choice because they look at the cost of living and they look at their office desk jockey job or whatever they do. And it just doesn't add up. And that's actually pushing property values up a bit in the outskirts of the GTA. Kitchener, Waterloo,
Cambridge,
Hamilton,
Ontario. Yeah.
St. Catharines is starting to get up there. Grimsby is getting up there as well. But
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. That's yeah. You know what? It is affecting like right now. Like I've been covering parts of Australia where a lot of people left to a cheap part of Australia called Hobart, and Hobart is in Tasmania Island, where it used to be a former prison, right? And it used to be a penal colony, and houses there were in and around 130, 160,000. Now houses there are 300,000. Because everybody left the big city of Sydney and moved down to Hobart because they wanted to live and buy a house and raise a family.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
And that's what's been happening. A lot of cities, like Merritt's feeling the pinch now. Now rents are going up in Merritt, and now housing's going up in Merritt because of people like me that came here and wanted to settle down and raise a family.
Yeah, I agree, but there's going to be a leveling off, Mike, because house prices, as much as they're experiencing, an irrational exuberance, if you will, and, house prices are going up based on the demand for affordable housing. As interest rates continue to climb, house prices have to, really stay at a certain level in order to make sense and in order for people to qualify. Just because Cambridge or Waterloo is cheaper than Toronto or Merritt is cheaper than Vancouver doesn't mean it's going to come anywhere close to being that price point, because it can't.
Right. I think if there's a correction in Merritt, I think it's going to go down 10-15% that it's gone up. And if it goes lower, oh well. But I don't...
That D-Day comes closer and closer, and it's going to come harder and faster. Mm-hmm. And if people aren't careful, we may not just see a correction. We may see a full-on crash here. And I don't wish for a full-on crash, because that would be catastrophic to the economy. Mm-hmm. Do we need a housing correction of 20 or 30%? Yes, I absolutely agree. And I'm not talking from the peak. I'm talking from today's prices. Mm-hmm. But do I want to see 89, 90, 91 all over again? Absolutely not. That would just be absolutely stupid.
No, but that way. Never mind that. What about 80, 81, 82 when interest rates went to like 17%?
Well, that's the whole thing. But the lending rate of approximately 2.5%. Mm-hmm. Their target for 2019, by the end of 2019, is 3%. Mm-hmm. But mm-hmm. economists, even regardless if they know or they don't know, 2.5% as an overnight lending rate, that's another 75 basis points. That's only 3 more rate hikes.
And people's, on a 0.25%, people are looking at $7,000 to $8,000 a year in increases, depending on how much they've borrowed, right?
Yeah, basically now that the quarter, I think they did the rough estimate, a 0.25% increase. The average person is paying about $240 more a month. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
that's a shock to a lot of people.
Absolutely. A lot of people don't have any more than a couple $100 left over by the time they paid everything.
If that. Some people have $60.
Absolutely. I mean, I have no money. Mm-hmm. I'm just a poor plumber.
Yeah. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Kevin Thompson does, though.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I'm sitting here, rolling my own smokes here. I mean, at least he could have done is offered me a wheat cookie or something. I haven't eaten in 5 days.
No, 3 days. It's 3 days, not 5.
Well, depends on how you look at it. But I mean, the 24th. I mean, in just a few short days, I get my welfare check. Got to pay my rent.
Oh, I see. So that's Steve the Plumber being very sarcastic here tonight. But you know what, Steve? We'll see what happens in the next quarter. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, we'll just go from there and just keep trending it out and see where it's heading. And everything we've been saying for the last, I don't know how many years now, is coming to fruition. And like I said, if people can't borrow, people can't borrow. When they can't borrow, they can't buy. When they can't buy, product doesn't move. When product doesn't move, product declines. Product declines, volatility goes down, liquidity disappears, and then people start running to the hills.
I absolutely agree with that statement, and it's very, very true what you just said. So, Mike, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Where do you see us by the end of Q1 2019?
I see interest rates going up one more time. I see. We're going to start seeing a little bit of more fracturing. We're going to see a lot of the shadow lending mortgages and a lot of the Mickey Mouse mortgages and jumbo mortgages. I see all those people starting to default by then.
Okay.
I see those people going down. I see those going down first, and by summer, you start to see the doctors and the lawyers and the plastic surgeons and the city people, more of those government type jobs starting to default right after.
Okay.
And then and by winter of next year will be the high-end housing market, because they're not selling, and they're going to drop anywhere from 20 to 30 basis points, and the high-end market is just going to flop because nobody wants to buy those high-end houses. And then at the end, those ones fall, and people are just walking away from mortgages by Christmas next year.
Okay. I see. Yeah, I mean, I see that starting to happen already. The house up for sale, down the street from me is the same house as mine, and it started off at very, very close, or just shy of $3.5 million at the height of the market, and things were selling for in and around that price. And he's now just reduced his property again, and Mike, he's at $2,460,000.
Wow, he's cut it big time.
Mike, we're talking about $1 million large. $1 million.
That's a lot of cake, buddy.
That is a lot. And he did it today. It populated today, and my agent actually called me, and he had told me. And the best offer he got when he listed it at just shy of $2 million, the best offer he got was 1.78 or 1.79. Well under $1.8 million. And realistically, that's what that house is probably worth.
Yeah,
it's about $1.8 million.
Yeah, realistically, like in real numbers, right? So let's see, keep an eye on it for us and let us know where it's headed. It'd be nice to know, to forecast,
Absolutely, I agree. And I just want to go ahead and, not so much plug it, Mike, but House Sigma is great. It's fantastic. I recommend everybody go on there, create an account, and the information is overwhelming. It is a wealth of information. Hopefully, you didn't buy a flip or at the height of the market, because you might become a little suicidal. But at the end of the day, it gives a really good, strong picture of where the market's at. It'll tell you whether you're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, a balanced market, and it'll give you other sales within the area. Mm-hmm. It'll show you the price reductions. It'll show you when it was, bought, when it was listed, when it was suspended. It's a fantastic website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, House Sigma. Yeah, I see it here. Yeah, it's a great website. Yeah, it won't let... Yeah, there it goes. There you go. Just sold. This one got reduced huge. Holy crap, this one reduced too. Huge reductions here. Yeah, homes...
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth DS says, Mississauga, people selling their homes, a lot up for sale. Indeed, a lot of houses are up for sale in Mississauga, Oakville, all throughout the 905. Everybody's trying to sell their house.
Steve, why don't you make a mock YouTube channel, not the Steve the Plumber one, make another one, and why don't you go ahead and upload some videos? You don't have to talk in it, and then we can play the video in the background while you're talking. and filming like drive-bys, just driving by certain areas with the signs and areas that are overvalued. You know, you're not doing anything illegal. You know what I'm saying?
No, I thought about doing that. You know, I'm very inspired by the Lost Canuck Mario there. He's done a lot of great things. Mm-hmm. I love it when he walks through new builds that are, you know, pre-construction. I listened to his call today, and he really said some decent things. Mm-hmm. You know, he says I didn't believe him about, you know, the government, you know, intervening, you know, doing an intervention and, you know, bailing people out. I guess I don't really want to believe that, because if they bail people out, they're just going to, you know, it's going to prolong the inevitable. We need a reset. We absolutely do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do. We do. Definitely. Okay, Steve, I'm going to sign off, buddy. It's going to be 3 hours I've been talking, and I'm tired, man. 3 hours talking is hard, man. But
I understand, buddy.
And I have to hit the bathroom. So, guys, House Sigma, check it out, guys. It's free, a free account. Get on there and see what your house is worth. And what was I going to say? Yeah, don't forget to join me, guys, for Mike in the Night on Saturday nights. And we'll be bringing up, I don't know, whatever people have on their minds. I'll bring up a few articles, and maybe people could discuss what's going on. And, yeah, hopefully we could get something going on Saturday night with Mike in the Night and get a few callers on and see what's going on in the world around us. Anyway, Steve, thanks for joining us on Trends in the Housing Market. Have a good night.
You as well. Thanks very much for having me on.
No problem,
Good
buddy.
to be with you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.